messy. I think the better way to do it is just to understand how to deal with exponents. So we're gonna do that right now. Okay. First, I want to go to the rules for TSI math. I do have a section on the properties of exponents. There's really just one complicated part that I really want you to be familiar with. That's basic concept E. You see that there on the screen? Can you open up the rules? Go to basic concept E, properties of exponents.
All right.
I've seen a number of questions where they just test you on the concept of negative exponents, and that's it. And that might be enough to get you, at least to get rid of some of the answer choices here. All a negative exponent it means, like we see here. So we've got, like the example is 3 to the power of negative 2. All that means, it's the same as 3 to the power of 2 in the denominator. That's it. You just flip the numerator and denominator. See how they do that in the example?
Yes.
It just basically means 1 over 3 to the power of 2. That's all it means. That's all it means, which is 1 over 9. Because 3 to the power of 2 is 9. So if you see a negative exponent, that just means flip the numerator and the denominator. That's it. You might be like, but there's no denominator in 3. Well, it's, 3 is the same as 3 over 1. So, kind of there is. So when you see negative exponents, and this is easy here because we're not raising it to the power of negative 2 or negative 3 or negative 4. We're just raising it to the power of negative 1. But you need to start by just flipping the numerator and denominator. Realize that with a negative exponent, you just flip the numerator and denominator. That's all you need to know to start at the very least. Does that make sense, Francisco?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's do that. I'm going to rewrite. I'll start it. I'm just going to rewrite this with the numerator and denominator flipped. So this is the same as this expression of the question as y times y times y. Does that make sense, Francisco? R of negative 5. Okay. Let's look at the answer choices real quick because it's a little bit tricky. You might look at that like, I don't know what to do with that x to the power of negative 5. That's fine. Don't worry about that right now. Just look at the answer choices. We know the right answer choice has to have y squared in the numerator, right? Is there any question about that?
Yeah.
I don't think there is, right? We know we have to have y squared in the numerator. There's one other. This is tricky. Because we're wondering what to do. What do we do with that x to the power of negative 5 in the denominator? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're basically doing the same thing here. If you see, they're very similar looking.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make some sense?
Yeah.
Not easy.
Yeah,
Not easy. These are tough questions. These are tough questions. Tough questions. I don't want to get too much into like the properties of exponents. It can get really, really complicated. I say just know that rule. Do that. You can't do that, right? You can't just like magically change it. Take what was negative, make it positive. Here's the sign. That's answer choice C.
All right.
Does that make some sense?
Yeah.
Not easy.
Yeah, I got it.
Not easy. These are tough questions. These are tough questions. Tough questions. I don't want to get too much into like the properties of exponents. It can get really, really complicated. It's the same as 1 over 3 squared, which is 1 over 9. Does that make sense, Francisco?
Yeah.
Flip the numerator and denominator, change the sign. It's a negative exponent. Or you could say just put this in the denominator and change the sign. It's another way to think about it. Okay. But then if we saw 1 over 3 to the power of negative 2, very similar operation. Flipping the numerator and denominator and changing the sign. So that equals 3 over 2. Sorry, 3 over 1 to the power of 2. Sorry, 3 to the power of 2 over 1, which is 9. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's the same thing we did here, right? We got a x to the power of negative 5. We've got a negative exponent denominator. Just bring up the numerator and flip the sign. It works. works. That works. Any questions about that?
Okay.
I mean, anytime if you want to, like, you can take any term. It could be like x squared, you know, and you want to, you know, x squared times y. And if you want to put that x in the denominator, or that x squared in the denominator, you could flip the sign and do it. It's the same as y over x to the power of negative 2. You could mess around like that if you wanted to all day long. And heck, we could put the y in the denominator as well. It could be 1 over x to the power of negative 2 times y to the power of negative 1, because there's an implied 1 here as well. Y to the power of 1 is the same as y. And then we pop them back in the numerator again if we wanted to, just change the sign. I just kind of want to show you how this works. X squared times y is what we started with. Does that make some sense, Francisco?
Yeah.
Basically, anytime you cross the fraction line, just change the sign of the exponent. That's all. So, another way to think about it. All right. Don't get lost. If this question is just like, I can't handle properties of exponents, don't forget about it. You don't need it for many questions. Most of these questions on the TSI are much more like the other questions we've been seeing so far. But this is on the update, so I want you to be aware of it. All right. We got one more